sir.
Hello, can you see my slides?
Yes, sir, we are here.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
yes,
you.
yes.
Okay, good. Sorry, for the small glitch. So, when India became independent, for example, this is the nice picture that we captured some time ago when we published a book on Indian science. But that was when it achieved 70th year of independence, and now, of course, it's 75 years. And this is the street in black and white is shown is the photograph taken on August 15, 1947. Is a road in Delhi where everybody was celebrating with lots of decorations on the street and everything because we became independent. And we in that, what is shown in the colored is what we have achieved since then. And of course, space research is symbolic. Indian science is not only about sending rocket to the moon or to the Mars. We have done much beyond all of that thing, but it's a symbolic, because when we say science, rocket science, we always think that is a most complex science one can do and one can achieve, and India has been able to achieve that. One of the very few countries which has done this. And India is one of them, and India has actually done much better than many other countries. I'll come to that in a minute. Now, I told you that we are starting this whole story from 1947 onwards. And India did have a very good presence of science. I'm sure all of you have heard about Jagadish Chandra Bose, C.V. Raman, and Meghnad Sahab, Bhatnagar. They all started their fantastic science before independence. And at the same time, the science was not done as an organized way of doing science. It was mostly individual passions, right? And people like C.V. Raman, for his fantastic experiment, which he got Nobel Prize, he had to go and request or plead for donations for some people, right? There was no funding from the government to, okay, you do this and you do this research, you develop this technology, which will be useful for people. But that started with 1947 onwards. And the government at that time decided that, India is the poorest of the poor countries, and it never had any good, industry. It didn't have good agricultural practices. And people were already suffering with the problems of the Second World War, although India was not participant of the Second World War because it was a British colony. British considered it, and India is also part of the Second World War, and we were also badly affected. And that Bengal famine and other problems also had an impact on the poverty and the finances in India. And in the absence of large number of educated people, scientifically trained people, right? But how you even use science and technology to transform the society? That was a big challenge. Neither you have a good number of science and technology experts. There are only few handful of them. They're very good. Some of them are Nobel laureates like C.V. Raman. But it was not enough because we need large number of people. The second is, even to bring quickly large number of people to science technology, we didn't have enough number of educated people. The literacy at that time was only 12%. Now it's more than 75%. But still, we decided that we are going to sort of use science and technology to solve societal problems, to make India a strong and prosperous country, right? And making strong and prosperous country is extremely important, not only for health and food related problems, and also for the security, because less just weaker you are, always dependent on outside sources for food, nutrition, and health, you are always vulnerable for your internal security and for external security for both purposes. So it's very important that you have to have full security, right? Particularly a country of our size and our population, we cannot depend only on outside supplies. Even during this pandemic, when India has been doing so well in economy, during pandemic, we suffered a lot in the beginning because we didn't have enough plants for oxygen. We didn't have oxygen concentrators. We didn't have enough medicines. Although India is the largest producer of medicines, because some of the ingredients for medicine and vaccines were coming from outside. So, but in a global economy, this is fine. That's how we all live, because give and take. You export, you also import. But under critical emergent conditions, sometimes it can become a problem. Anyway, you need to understand something about science itself. What exactly is the nature of science? There is no difference in the basic science that we do. For example, the kind of astrophysics people, or biology researchers or chemistry research, they ask fundamental questions in science and try to address them. Or the work like Einstein or Raman, what they did was basically more fundamental. They were not looking for what is it going to be useful for the society. It's simply for the sake of knowledge, right? But when you develop technology, when you apply technology to solve societal problem, you still use the same scientific methods, because the scientific methods are extremely important to understand the nature of the world, whether it is the natural world or the human world, and also to develop technology and apply technology, right? What is called evidence-based, knowledge-based, science-driven solutions to the societal problem. You need to adopt scientific methods, right? So one of the major component of our education post-independence was science education itself, because science education is not something which comes very naturally, because it is a specific set of methods. It had to be extremely unbiased and objective. Now, I'll skip this. Why I'm calling it as doesn't come naturally? Because not because we are not intelligent, not because we are not using our brain. It's simply because we are limited with our what is naturally evolved eyes and nose and ears, with the help of which we actually understand the outside world. What we see may not be true. What we hear may not be true. What we read may not be true, right? Here is the best example. All the 7 billion people on earth every day, all the people ever lived on earth every day, have only seen earth moving around the sun, right? But we don't consider it as the true. Now we all know, every individual who has gone to the school knows, all over the world, in the universe, since the last 200 years, that it is the earth which moves around the sun. It is not the other way around. It is a scientific method which has helped us to understand something which no one has been able to see physically. So we always say that, what is truth? What is reality? If 100 people say something, perhaps it is true. If all 100 people see this exactly the same thing, maybe it is reality. Not necessary. All of us can be fooled. It's not necessarily we are fooled. It's simply because we are limited with our what is evolved. Because in evolution, we have a certain kinds of features for a specific type of living which we have evolved. And we see only certain color in the light. We don't see ultraviolet or infrared. There are, for example, butterflies can see ultraviolet, right? They can use ultraviolet light to see the patterns. Bats can hear, ultrasonic waves. We can't hear ultrasonic waves. Is because our evolution, our habitat, our lifestyle, our life history, they don't require those kind of abilities, because it's the cost to everything. For example, bats are living with a very intense, sonic vision. They don't have normal light vision, or very feeble light vision. They do have some light vision, but it's not enough. So there is a cost to developing superior power, right? So superior power, like butterflies using ultraviolet, or bats using ultrasonic waves, is at some cost. So we have been able to achieve certain things with the limited vision and hearing and whatever we can smell. But at the same time, it also has some limitation to understand the natural world. But using the brain, using the scientific methods, using the methods of investigation, we have been able to unravel the real truth around the world, not only where we live on Earth and also beyond Earth. We have investigated what is Moon, how does it look like. People have landed on Moon. Same thing related to Mars and beyond, right? So that is the power of science, and that is the methods of science we need to adopt and every day in all our day life. 75th year of independence is not only celebrating the science and technology for increasing the prosperity of the country, we should also celebrate the methods of science that we need to adopt to become completely independent of, biases. We are dependent on other people to get some information and we simply believe it. If we develop scientific methods, we are totally independent, even in receiving the information and understanding the information and use the information the way we want to use it. Otherwise, we'll be fooled by others. What you read in the newspaper, what comes in your WhatsApp, what you read on a social media, what you read even in a textbook, what you read on internet, 90% of them may not be really true. You need to develop scientific methods to extract truth, and that make you more independent. So India need to achieve that independence. Not only India, the whole world needs to achieve that independence using scientific method. There are so many people who are opposing vaccines because of certain superstitions. And vaccines, it protects you from diseases. People always say, oh, you always get infection, why do we need to have vaccine? But vaccine is not to stop the infection. Vaccine is to protect you from the disease, right? And the second is, you also understand the scientific methods and how it functions. So then it's easy for you to adopt modern, scientific understanding in improving our health and our life. So post 1947, we started a series of, scientific institutions, and science became a major, learning topic in almost all the universities, colleges, everywhere. And we increased our literacy, not only, absolute literacy, we also increased literacy in science and scientific methods across the country, and which enabled in less than 50 to 60 years in self-sufficiency in food, right? We developed self-sufficiency in technology, not only information technology or IT technology, also in many other things. Department of Atomic Energy, space technology, and other electronics and so forth. For example, India is the only large democratic country which uses the entire technology was completely developed in India. Bharat Electronics Limited, which I mentioned there,